The Galactic Concorde's Hall of Species shimmered with cold blue light, its ceiling filled with shifting holograms of 1,000 worlds. Every species had a representative, every empire had a seat, and today for the first time in history humanity had been invited. Among the rows of recruits stood Cadet Aaron Voss, the youngest representative Earth had ever sent to the Concorde Training Academy. He was tall, lean, and carried the quiet confidence of someone who had seen hardship but refused to be broken by it. Yet, as he stood there, he felt hundreds of alien eyes staring at him with the same expression. Doubt. Humans were new, soft, barely a century into interstellar travel, and rumors had already begun to spread. Up at the speaker podium, High Marshal Resk Thull, a towering reptilian commander, activated his voice modulator. Next agenda, he hissed with a mocking tone. The admission of Earthborn cadets into combat divisions. A wave of amusement rippled through the hall. Many species had evolved in war. Humans had evolved in chaos, but the Concorde didn't know the difference. Resk leaned forward. Humanity claims strength. Yet your history shows no proof of warrior blood. No legendary fighters. No ancient battle clans. Why should we believe Earth produces combatants at all? Aaron's jaw tightened. Across the hall, someone snickered. Another whispered, "Bearskin primitives." A third added, "They break under pressure." Resk addressed Aaron directly. "You human? Step forward." Aaron did. The hall fell silent. "Tell us," Resk growled, "why does Earth breed no warriors? Why do your people fear combat?" Aaron scanned the room. Dozens of species stood there, some armored in natural plating, some with venom-tipped limbs, some with telekinetic organs humming softly. He was just a human. Soft skin. No claws. No exoskeleton. No fangs. And yet, his voice carried steady, sharp, unshaken. "You think Earth has no warriors," Aaron said, "because you've only studied our battles. Not our survivors." The hall stirred. Aaron continued, every word measured. "You come from planets where war is a biological instinct. But humans, we come from a world that tried to kill us every single day. Without mercy. Without pause. Without rest." Resk narrowed his eyes. "Explain." Aaron took a breath. "Our ancestors didn't survive because they were born warriors. They became warriors because the world gave them no other choice. We fought beasts with nothing but stones. We crossed oceans with nothing but hope. We survived winters that should have wiped us out. We built tools, fire, civilization, while nature hunted us endlessly." He looked directly at the High Marshal. "We are warriors not by design, but by determination." Silence. Tension. Interest. Aaron stepped closer, voice rising. "You ask why Earth has no fighters?" He lifted his chin, eyes blazing. "You're looking at one." The air froze. Even the telepaths in the back row felt the wave of conviction spill from him. "And if you still doubt us," Aaron said, "then put me in the front lines of any battlefield you choose. Let me show you what a human becomes, when he has something worth protecting." The hall erupted, this time not in laughter but in shocked whispers. Resk stared at him for a long moment, studying the human cadet as though seeing him for the first time. "A bold claim," the High Marshal hissed. "We will see if your actions match your voice." He turned away, but his eyes betrayed something no one had ever seen from him before. Respect. In that moment, Aaron Voss became the most talked about cadet in the Galactic Academy. Not because he was strong. Not because he was fearless. But because he had said something no alien had expected. That humanity, fragile, soft, inexperienced humanity, might just possess a kind of strength the galaxy had never measured before. The kind that could not be seen. Only proven. And the galaxy was about to witness it. The trials of fire. The Galactic Academy stretched across an entire floating continent, colossal towers of silver alloy, training grounds carved into drifting stone platforms, and gravity zones that changed strength with every step. It was where the galaxy forged its elite. And now it was where Cadet Aaron Voss would be tested. Rumors of his defiant speech had spread faster than a plasma flare. Everywhere he went, whispers followed him. "Is that the human who challenged High Marshal Resk? He said he's a warrior? They break easily, we'll see." Aaron ignored all of it. His focus was on trial week. 7 days, 7 brutal tests designed to eliminate the weak and select the worthy. Most cadets train their entire lives for this. Aaron had barely arrived a month ago. Yet he walked into the first trial with the same steady calm he had carried in the Hall of Species. Fire Trial 1, the Gravity Crucible. The arena resembled a metallic canyon, its walls glowing with shifting energy. Overhead, 3 instructors monitored the arena from a hovering platform. Among them was Resk Thul himself. Aaron felt the marshal's eyes on him, heavy as a mountain, but he refused to look away. A booming voice echoed. Gravity crucible begins in 5, 4, 3. Aaron flexed his fingers. He had practiced in Earth normal gravity only. Other species were accustomed to high-pressure environments, dense worlds, or crushing seas. Aaron had only human endurance. 2, 1 begin. A pulse swept through the arena. Aaron's knees nearly buckled. Gravity increased to 3 times Earth normal, the standard for the test's first stage. The alien cadets adapted instantly. The massive Thorvok cadet, Kron Orlax, stomped forward with ease. His species evolved on a planet where even trees weighed several tons. A slender avian cadet, Lyessa Viewer, spread her dense wings to balance herself. Aaron? Aaron struggled to keep his legs from collapsing. Sweat broke across his forehead. His lungs screamed. His heart hammered like a trapped drum. A nearby Vorkan cadet snickered. Pathetic. Humans are all bone and water. Aaron forced a breath. Fine. Underestimate me. That's when humans are strongest. The goal was simple. Reach the far platform before the gravity fields reached lethal levels. Simple. For anyone who wasn't human. The gravity surged again. 4 times Earth gravity. Every step became agony. His legs felt like stone pillars. His shoulders dragged downward. His vision blurred. Several cadets passed him, their bodies naturally suited to heavy environments. Lyessa clicked her beak softly as she stopped beside him. You don't have to keep going, Aaron. This test wasn't designed for species like yours. Aaron smiled through the strain. Then I'll just have to change the design. He pushed forward. 5 times Earth gravity. Cadets dropped all around him. Too slow, too weak, too tired. Automated drones lifted failure after failure out of the course. Aaron didn't stop. He dragged himself forward, each step a battle. His hands trembled. His bones felt like they might snap. And still, he kept going. Not because he was the strongest. Not because he had natural gifts. He kept going because humans were built for one thing nature forced into them again and again. Endurance. Fire the breaking point. By the time the gravity hit 7 times Earth normal, only a handful of cadets remained. Kron Orlax thundered forward, unbothered. Lyessa Viewer managed only through fierce will. Aaron Voss was on his knees. His vision dimmed. Metallic dust filled his lungs. The arena roared in his ears. Behind the observation window, Resk leaned forward. Is this all the human's courage amounts to? Instructor Selen, a crystalline species of light, observed quietly. He should have collapsed long ago. Every human bone should be cracked. Yet he continues. Resk said nothing. But his tail twitched. Down in the arena, Aaron pressed both palms into the ground. He could stop. No one would blame him. But stopping meant proving everyone right. Stopping meant confirming that humans weren't warriors. He refused. With a roar torn from the bottom of his soul, Aaron pushed himself upright. His legs trembled violently, but they held. He took 1 step. Then another. He reached the final stretch. Just 10 meters left. 10 impossible meters. The gravity surged to 8 times Earth normal. Every heartbeat felt like a collapsing star. Aaron forced his foot forward. And collapsed again. But he didn't fall backward. He fell forward. Onto the platform. A chime sounded. Human Cadet Aaron Voss, gravity crucible complete. The arena exploded in disbelief. That's impossible. Humans can't withstand that pressure. He shouldn't be alive. Even Kron Orlax paused to look at him with something like respect. Aaron rolled onto his back, chest heaving, and laughed breathlessly. He had done it. Fire aftermath. Medical drones rushed toward him, but Aaron waved them off. I'm fine. He wasn't. He was barely conscious. But he was victorious. Resk stood above the arena on the command platform, arms crossed. For the first time, there was no mockery in his eyes. Only calculation. And curiosity. That human, he muttered, should not have survived. Instructor Selen glanced at him. You asked where Earth's warriors are. Perhaps you are staring at one. Resk didn't answer. But deep in his mind, a single thought stirred. If this is a mere cadet, what will a human soldier become? Fire the message. Later that night, as Aaron lay on his bunk, healing patches glowing faintly on his arms, Lyessa Viewer perched on the rail above him. You nearly died. Aaron smirked. Almost. But I didn't. Lyessa shook her head. You did something impossible, Aaron. Why keep going? Aaron closed his eyes. Because if I stop, then every alien who believes humans are weak will be right. And I'm not giving them that victory. Lyessa stared at him for a long moment, then whispered, "You may not have claws, Aaron, but you have something far sharper." "What's that?" "Will." Aaron chuckled softly. "That's all a warrior needs." Outside, the academy lights dimmed toward night cycle. Inside, Aaron Voss slept with a quiet smile. Tomorrow the next trial would begin. And the galaxy had no idea. It was just getting started. Dawn cycle at the Galactic Academy was never gentle. A blaring horn shook every cadet from sleep, followed by a harsh announcement echoing through the metallic corridors. Trial 2, Terrain Survival, Report to the Veiled Zone. Cadet Aaron Voss opened his eyes, muscles still aching from the gravity crucible. Every movement hurt. Even breathing felt like he'd swallowed a bag of rocks. But pain didn't matter. Pain was familiar. Pain was a teacher. Pain meant he was still in the fight. He sat up, pulled on his combat suit and headed out. The Veiled Zone. The Veiled Zone was unlike any training field Aaron had seen. A massive dome curved over a shifting landscape filled with rolling mist. Jagged rocks emerged and vanished in the fog, and massive shadows moved overhead. Beasts, drones, or illusions, no one knew. Beside Aaron, Lyessa Vwire fluffed her wings anxiously. "This trial," she whispered, "has no score. Only survival determines success." Aaron nodded. "What's the objective?" She glanced at him. "Stay alive for 6 hours." Aaron frowned. "Just survive." Kron Orlax rumbled beside them, amusement vibrating in his voice. "Just survive," the human says. "The Veiled Zone is the most lethal terrain the Academy has created." Another cadet added, "Even seasoned warriors fail this one." Aaron tightened his gloves. "Then I'll try not to join them." The instructors floated overhead on anti-grav platforms. High Marshal Resk stood at the center, arms folded, eyes locked on Aaron. "Begin," he growled. The mist swallowed the world. Fog the first wave. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. Aaron instinctively crouched low. "Lyessa? Kron?" he called. No response. The fog separated every cadet instantly. Alone, isolated, blind. Then came the sound. Skittering. Dozens of fast-moving shapes darting across the stone. Aaron took a steadying breath. "Come. Listen. Move slow." Out of the mist, a creature pounced, its body metallic, its limbs bladed, its eyes glowing red. A hunter drone. Aaron dodged sideways, its blade slicing through the air where his chest had been a heartbeat earlier. It attacked again. Aaron grabbed a broken piece of stone and slammed it into the drone's sensor. Sparks flew. The drone screeched electronically and lunged again. Aaron ducked low, rolled beneath it, and kicked upward with every ounce of strength he had left. The blow sent the drone crashing into a rock. It twitched violently, then went still. Aaron leaned against a boulder, panting. One down. Probably a few hundred to go. Fog the shifting fog. Hours passed, or what felt like hours. The terrain warped constantly, cliffs forming and collapsing, rivers appearing out of nowhere, the mist growing thicker with every minute. Aaron moved carefully, scanning the fog. He found signs of other cadets, slashed rocks, broken drones, footprints, but nothing living. No voices. No allies. Only silence. Then, a faint chirp echoed somewhere above him. "Aaron." Down. It was Lyessa. Aaron dropped instantly. A massive shadow swooped overhead, talons slicing the air. A flying hunter, larger, faster, deadlier. Aaron scrambled behind a pillar as Lyessa landed beside him, panting. "I was worried you were gone," she said. "Not yet," Aaron replied. The creature circled back. Lyessa extended her wing-arm blade. "We need a plan." Aaron eyed the uneven terrain. "We use the mist. Make it lose sight." Lyessa blinked. "For a species that can't fly, you think surprisingly three-dimensionally." He grinned. "Earth teaches creativity." The shadow dove again. Aaron shouted, "Now!" Lyessa shot upward, her wings slicing through the fog, drawing the creature's attention. As it lunged after her, Aaron sprinted across the stones, leaping onto a higher ledge. The creature swooped close. Aaron jumped. He grabbed its hind limb, hanging on with every bit of strength left in his shaking arms. The creature thrashed, shrieking. Aaron pulled himself upward, hand over hand, until he reached its wing joint. "Sorry, big guy," he muttered. He slammed his boot hard against the tendon. A sickening crack echoed. The creature spiraled. Aaron leaped off just before it smashed into the ground. Lyessa landed beside him, winded but smiling. You insane groundwalker. Aaron laughed weakly. Thanks for the lift. They leaned against a boulder, catching their breath. Then a new voice rumbled behind them. You two work well together. Aaron turned. Kron Orlak stood there, covered in drone oil and dust. His armor was dented, but his expression was impressed. You human? I misjudged you. Aaron raised an eyebrow. You mean you thought I'd quit? Kron grunted. Yes, but you refused to die. I respect that. Aaron smirked. I'm stubborn. Stubbornness, Kron said, is the heart of survival. Fog the final hour. The mist thickened to a near-solid wall. Even Kron struggled to navigate. Aaron listened closely. There. Something's moving. Lyessa clicked her tongue. Too heavy for drones. A low growl vibrated the ground. Kron's eyes widened. A titan beast. They released one into the trial? Aaron swallowed. What's a titan beast? Kron answered. An apex predator grown in the Academy's labs. Strong enough to crush steel. Designed to test entire squads. Lyessa tilted her head. And they unleashed one on individual cadets? Aaron sighed. I'm starting to think the instructors don't want us alive. The growl came closer. Aaron whispered, run. Now. They sprinted through the fog as the titan beast's footsteps shook the ground. A shadow, massive, hulking with glowing amber eyes, burst into view. Kron yelled, go. I'll hold it off. Aaron grabbed his arm. No. We survive together. Lyessa agreed. These trials aren't meant to be solo missions. We combine strengths. Kron hesitated, then nodded. The beast charged. Aaron shouted, Kron hit its legs. Lyessa blind it. I'll distract it. What? Lyessa squawked. You want to survive, not die. Aaron grinned. Trust me. Fought the fight. Kron slammed into the beast's legs, staggering it. Lyessa swooped past its face, cutting at its eyes. Aaron sprinted straight at it. The beast roared and swung a claw the size of his torso. Aaron dove, slid beneath it, grabbed a fallen metal shard and rammed it into the creature's joint. A blast of pain disrupted the beast's movement. Kron tackled its midsection. Lyessa slashed again. Together. They brought the titan beast to the ground. It collapsed with a thunderous crash. Silence returned to the mist. They stared at each other, breathless, shaking, battered. Then, a loud chime echoed across the dome. Survival time complete. Trial expires. The mist began to fade. Instructors rushed in. High Marshal Resk stepped forward, his eyes scanning the trio. You survived together, he said slowly. Impressive. But his gaze locked onto Aaron. You human, your tactics were reckless. Aaron wiped blood from his forehead. But effective. Resk's jaw tightened. You defy expectations at every turn. Aaron stood tall despite his exhaustion. That's what humans do. Resk said nothing for several seconds. Then with a tone no one expected. Well fought, Cadet Voss. Fog aftermath. That night Aaron, Lyessa and Kron sat together in the dining hall. Kron rumbled, human. I will fight beside you anytime. Lyessa chirped happily, agreed. Aaron smiled. Thanks both of you. But deep down he knew something more important. The galaxy was starting to realize something it had never considered before. Humanity wasn't weak. Humanity wasn't soft. Humanity wasn't unprepared. Humanity was simply undiscovered. And Aaron Voss was about to show them everything they'd overlooked. The trial of minds. Night cycle at the Academy felt different after the Veiled Zone. Cadets whispered Aaron Voss's name with tones ranging from awe to disbelief. Word spread that a human, a species no one had taken seriously, had survived what many elite recruits could not. But there was no rest for heroes in the making. At dawn, as the first glow of artificial sunlight warmed the halls, an announcement boomed. Trial 3, the Mindlock Gauntlet. Report immediately. Aaron rubbed his forehead. He had survived crushing gravity. He had survived impossible terrain. He had survived a titan beast. But this next trial? Even he felt a knot forming in his stomach. Brain the Mindlock chamber. The Mindlock Gauntlet wasn't a physical arena. It was a massive crystalline dome filled with glowing neural conduits, humming with mental energy. Unlike the previous trials, this test required no weapons, no running, no combat. Only the mind. Cadets filed into circular seats arranged around a levitating core of shimmering light. Lyessa Vyr perched beside him. This trial is unpredictable, Aaron. It attacks your mind, memories, fears, illusions. Even I struggle with it. Kron Orlax growled uncomfortably. My species fears no battle but the mind lock? It exposes everything we hide. Even warriors tremble before this one. Aaron swallowed. Good, he said softly. If I can survive what's inside my mind, the rest is easy. Lyessa glanced at him with concern. You say that, but you don't know what the mind lock chooses. It pulls your deepest wounds to the surface. Aaron didn't answer. He didn't have to. His silence was enough for her to understand. The human had wounds, and the gauntlet would find them. Brain, the trial begins. High Marshal Resk entered the dome. His eyes scanned the cadets, lingering on Aaron longer than necessary. A warrior is not only muscle and speed, he said. A warrior must conquer the battlefield within. His claw gestured to the glowing core. Survive the mind lock. Resist it. Break it. Only then will you prove your resolve. He raised his arm. Begin. The crystal pulsed. A wave of light washed over the room. Aaron felt himself falling. And then the world vanished. Brain, Aaron's mindscape. He stood on a ruined Earth city. Fire. Smoke. Shadows of buildings ripped apart by storms. The air smelled of ash. Not real, Aaron muttered. It's pulling from imagination. But the ground shook violently. A monstrous silhouette rose from behind a shattered skyscraper, a giant beast made of metal and darkness. Its eyes glowed like dying stars. Aaron felt fear stab through him. Not because the monster was real, but because the fear was. The creature roared. The city crumbled. The sky twisted. Aaron clenched his fists. You're not real. The monster charged. Aaron dove aside as its claws smashed the street where he stood. He scrambled behind a burnt vehicle, breathing hard. A voice whispered through the air. You are weak. Aaron froze. The voice wasn't the monster's. It was his own. You don't belong here. Humans aren't warriors. You are pretending. Aaron shut his eyes. The voice grew louder. Give up. He forced himself to breathe. No, he whispered. The ground cracked. The monster loomed over him again. You are nothing. He tightened his jaw. Then he stood. No, I'm not. He sprinted forward. Not away from danger, but toward it. He grabbed a metal beam from the rubble. When the monster swiped at him, he ducked and slammed the beam into its limb. The creature roared in fury. But Aaron didn't stop. He fought with everything he had. Every instinct. Every ounce of human stubbornness. He leapt onto its arm, climbed its metallic hide, and jammed the beam into its eye. Light exploded. The creature shattered into dust. The city dissolved. Aaron stood alone on a blank white plain. Breathing. Shaking. But victorious. Brain, Lyessa's mind. The scene shifted. Aaron saw Lyessa trapped in her own illusion, wings torn, feathers falling like snow. She cried out as a ghostly figure of her clan leader towered over her. You failed your flock. You cannot protect anyone. You brought shame to your nest. Aaron ran toward her. The illusion resisted him, trying to turn into smoke, but Aaron forced himself through. Lyessa knelt alone, trembling. Lyessa. She gasped. Aaron? You're not supposed to be able to enter my mindscape. Then your mind needs better defenses, he said gently, offering his hand. She hesitated, but took it. Aaron stood in front of the illusion of her clan leader. Leave her, he commanded. The illusion twisted its face toward him. You do not belong here, human. Aaron cut it off with pure defiance. She belongs with us. She survived. She fought. And she has nothing to prove to you. The illusion screamed, shattered, and Lyessa collapsed into Aaron's arms. She breathed heavily, then whispered, You came back for me, inside my mind. Aaron smiled softly. Of course. Teamwork doesn't stop at reality. She blinked at him, touched. Brain, Kron's trial. Next, Aaron saw Kron, kneeling before the vision of his ancestors, chains wrapped around his arms. You abandoned the strength of your clan. You are unworthy of Orlax's blood. You will die in disgrace. Kron roared in agony. Aaron stepped into his mindscape. The air trembled. This illusion was stronger, almost refusing to let him enter. But Aaron pushed anyway. He stood beside Kron. That's enough, Aaron said. The ancestor illusions turned toward him. You dare challenge the Orlax lineage, human? Aaron smirked, exhausted but unbroken. I've challenged worse today. He placed a hand on Kron's shoulder. You define your strength. Not them. Kron looked up, eyes burning. Aaron extended his hand. Stand, Kron Orlax. With a thunderous roar, Kron broke the chains. The illusions shattered like glass. He rose, towering over Aaron, voice rumbling. You are more warrior than any illusion. Brain the core challenge. Suddenly, all illusions vanished, and the three cadets stood inside the glowing mindlock core. But they weren't alone. A figure formed from light, a perfect copy of Aaron Voss. A mirror. His own voice spoke. You help them. But who helps you? Aaron froze. Lyessa and Kron looked at him, confused. The mirror. Aaron stepped forward. You hide your fear. You bury your doubt. You pretend to be strong. Its eyes sharpened. But you are terrified that they're right. That humans aren't warriors. Lyessa whispered, Aaron? The illusion smirked. Tell them the truth. You're just a fragile species pretending to be powerful. Aaron trembled. For a moment. Just a moment. He almost believed the illusion. But then he remembered the gravity crushing him. The Titan beast. The endless mist. Saving Lyessa. Saving Kron. He stepped forward. No, Aaron said. You're wrong. The illusion. Aaron tilted its head. Aaron's voice grew louder. I'm not pretending. I'm not hiding. I'm not weak. He took another step. Lyessa and Kron placed their hands on his shoulders, standing beside him. Aaron looked into the eyes of his own illusion. I'm human. And that means I don't give up. Not even on myself. He punched straight through the illusion's chest. It shattered into pure white light. Brain trial complete. The mindlock chamber flickered. Reality returned. Aaron, Lyessa, and Kron blinked awake in their seats, sweaty, shaking but alive. The spectators stared at them in stunned silence. High Marshal Resk descended the steps toward Aaron. His voice rumbled low. You entered other cadets' mindscapes. That is not possible. Aaron shrugged tiredly. Guess nobody told me the rules. Resk stared at him long and hard. Humanity's mental resilience is far greater than recorded. Aaron smiled faintly. Maybe you just never asked the right human? Resk didn't respond for several seconds. Then, very quietly he said, Well done. Aaron felt something shift in the High Marshal's eyes. Not doubt. Not mockery. Something else. Respect. Curiosity. And a growing fear of what a trained human could become. Brain aftermath. That night, the trio sat together on a rooftop overlooking the glowing academy. Lyessa said, You saved our minds. You saved us. Kron rumbled, I owe you my honor, Aaron Voss. Aaron stared at the stars. You do the same for me. They nodded. But none of them spoke the deeper truth. The trials were escalating. The challenges were sharpening. The galaxy was watching. And Aaron Voss was no longer just a cadet. He was becoming something far more dangerous. A symbol. A possibility. A human warrior the galaxy had never expected. The chamber lights dimmed as the emergency shutters sealed across the academy windows. A distant tremor rolled underfoot, subtle yet unmistakable, like the galaxy itself had drawn in a sharp breath. Commander Salix stood before the cadet corps, his violet eyes narrowed. This is not a drill, he announced, voice cutting through the tension. A Karth Dominion strike vessel has breached our outer defense line. Gasps rippled across the hall. The Karth, brutal, unrelenting conquerors of 14 systems. Rumor said they captured enemies alive only to feed them to their warbeasts. Lyra Vesh felt her pulse quicken, though her expression remained composed. Beside her, Jalen Arcturus clenched his jaw, his hands curling as if preparing to fight the air itself. Kaylee Solari stood centered and calm, though something fierce flickered behind his eyes. That calmness wasn't peaceful. It was the quiet before a storm. Salix continued, Their objective is unclear, but a strike vessel does not roam without purpose. You will remain in the cadet wing until further orders. Kaylee's exhaled slowly. Remain? Not again. He remembered Earth's past, all those years of humanity underestimated, overlooked, mocked for lacking warrior instinct. It was never that humans lacked the spirit. They simply fought only when they had no other option, and when they did, they fought like the universe's end depended on it. A voice suddenly burst from the speakers. This is Station Control. The Karth vessel has deployed surface raiders. Repeat, surface raiders inbound. The chamber erupted in chaos. Salix slammed his fist on the podium. Cadets, maintain formation. But he was cut off as a violent shockwave struck the building. The floor shuddered. Dust rained from the ceiling. A deep, guttural roar echoed from somewhere outside, alien, primal, enraged. Lyra grabbed Kaylee's arm. They're already here. No, Kaylee said, gaze sharpening, they're hunting. The breach. The outer doors exploded inward, scattering metal shards across the hall. A hulking Karth warrior ducked through the ruined frame, its scaled hide gleaming like black stone. Two more followed, their serrated weapons crackling with electric venom. Cadets froze. Some screamed. A few tried to run. "Get behind me!" Salix roared, activating his arm-mounted barrier. But the shield flickered, struggling under the first impact from a Karth cleaver. The blow hurled the commander backward into a row of seats. Salix gasped, coughing blood. Jalen stepped forward, trembling yet determined. We can't beat that. We're not soldiers." Kaylee's voice cut through the panic like a blade. "We don't need to be soldiers. We just need to survive." But even he knew survival alone wouldn't be enough. The Karth leader stalked forward, scanning the cadets with predatory disinterest, until its gaze paused on Kaylee's. It snarled, showing jagged rows of bone-white teeth. "Human?" Kaylee stepped out of the crowd. The room went utterly silent. "You claim my species has no fighters," he said quietly. "Let's test that." The Karth's laugh was a deep, volcanic rumble. "You challenge me, little prey? Alone?" Kaylee shook his head. "No. I challenge you as a representative of my people. People who don't seek war, but end it." Before the Karth could respond, Kaylee's moved, fast. Faster than anyone expected. He ducked beneath a sweeping cleaver, rolled across the floor, and snatched an electrified staff from a fallen guard. Energy burned through his palms, but he didn't hesitate. He lunged. The first strike cracked across the Karth's jaw. The second jabbed into its throat. The third swept its legs from under it. The hall exploded with gasps. Lyra stared in shock. "Kaylee's, when did you learn?" "Later," he shouted, spinning as another Karth warrior thundered toward him. Human fury ignites. Kaylee's fought like someone who'd spent a lifetime preparing for the moment everyone else said would never come. A backflip carried him over a swiping blade. A twist of his staff disarmed a warrior twice his size. A surge of raw instinct guided his elbow into another's ribcage, cracking armor. Jalen watched, stunned. "He's fighting three of them by himself." Salix struggled to his feet, leaning heavily on the railing. "That is impossible. Humans don't." "Don't?" Lyra snapped. "Don't what? Fight? Survive? Adapt." Another explosion shook the building from above. Lyra grabbed Jalen's hand. "We have to move. Now." Jalen hesitated. "And Kaylee's?" Lyra looked toward the battlefield. Kaylee's had just rammed the electrified staff through a Karth's chest, sending a shockwave of blue light through its body. "He'll catch up." The turning point. Kaylee's ducked behind a pillar as the last Karth warrior, the leader, stalked toward him. Blood dripped from its jaw, blue, thick, slow. "You are different," it growled. "Not like the others." Kaylee set his stance. "There's an earth saying. You wanted to know why we breed no warriors." The Karth narrowed its burning red eyes. Kaylee stepped forward. "Because we don't need to breed warriors. We become them. When the universe forces our hand." A roar ripped from the Karth as it charged. Kaylee's charged too. Their collision sent a shockwave across the hall, the energy tearing cracks in the floor. Kaylee's ducked under a blade, planted his knee in its gut, and slammed the staff against its exposed neck. Electricity flared. The Karth collapsed. The hall fell silent except for Kaylee's ragged breathing. Then cheers. Terrified, stunned, relieved cheers. Lyra and Jalen ran back to him. "You insane human." Jalen cried. "You actually fought them." Kaylee's gave a tired grin. "Humans aren't what the galaxy thinks." Salix approached, clutching his ribs. "Cadet Solari, that was beyond regulation, beyond expectation, beyond anything I've seen." "I just did what humans do," Kaylee's replied softly. "We rise." But the battle wasn't over. A shadow blotted the remaining lights overhead. Through the damaged ceiling, the dark silhouette of the Karth strike vessel loomed closer, preparing to deploy something far worse than raiders. Kaylee stared upward, sweat dripping down his brow. Lyra whispered, "What now?" Kaylee's tightened his grip on the cracked staff. "Now," he said, "we show the galaxy the truth. We are fighters." The storm clouds above the academy churned with unnatural force, lit by crimson flashes from the Karth strike vessel descending through the atmosphere. Its hull glowed with molten lines, ancient runes of conquest etched into armor thicker than battleship plating. Every cadet felt the weight of that shadow. Lyra Vesh stepped closer to Kaylee's, her voice shaky but steadying. "Kaylee's, that ship isn't deploying raiders. It's preparing a ground annihilator." Jalen's eyes widened. "A whole district eraser?" But those are forbidden. Even the Dominion doesn't. They don't care about laws, Commander Salix rasped, leaning against a broken column. They care about dominance. If they erase this academy, they silence every witness to their attack. Cayley stared at the ship, his jaw set tight. They're not here by accident. Salix nodded. Agreed. They came for something. Or someone. The commander's gaze fell to Cayley's. Lyra winced. You think they came for him? Cayley's didn't answer. His silence was all the answer needed. The hidden past. The cadets rushed into a damaged side corridor, guiding the injured and securing those in shock. Emergency lights flashed in rhythmic pulses, casting everything in a blood-red glow. Lyra grabbed Cayley's shoulder as they ran. You need to explain. I will, he replied, breath steady despite the chaos. But not here. Jalen rounded a corner, hiding his fear behind sarcasm. Well, try making it fast because there's a battleship-sized monster trying to vaporize us. Cayley slowed his pace, eyes darkening, not with fear but memory. I wasn't born in the outer colonies, he began. Or on any peaceful settlement. I grew up on Earth's frontier outpost of HFY. Lyra blinked. The defense station? I thought it was rumored to be destroyed years ago. It wasn't a rumor, Cayley said. It was the first testing ground for a Karth infiltration. Salix's eyes widened. The classified incident, the one with 0 survivors reported. Cayley's nodded grimly. I survived. Because I made myself survive. The hallway fell silent except for distant explosions. Jalen swallowed hard. Cayley's, why didn't you tell us? Cayley's voice didn't waver. Because Earth asked me not to. They didn't want the galaxy to know that the Karth had already marked humanity as a threat. Lyra's breath caught. They marked us. Not us. Cayley's lifted his eyes toward the ceiling where the ship loomed. Me. The Karth's objective. The ground shook violently as another impact rattled the academy. Alarms blared. Salix checked the tactical board on his wrist plate. His face drained of color. They're not aiming for the academy anymore. They've locked onto the cadet wing specifically. Jalen whispered, they really are here for Cayley's. Lyra stepped protectively beside him. Then they'll have to go through all of us. Cayley's looked at her, the faintest hint of gratitude in his expression. This isn't your fight. Lyra shot him a glare sharp enough to cut steel. You saved us. You think we're going to run now? Jalen chimed in, we're cadets, not cowards. Salix raised his broken staff. And I am still your commander. We stand together. Cayley stared at them, conflict flickering through his gaze. For a long time I carried this alone. But, maybe I don't have to anymore. The ground trembled again. Then the roof above them tore open. The elite descend. A massive Karth warrior dropped from the ceiling in a shower of debris, its armor pulsing with violet energy, far stronger than the ones Cayley's fought earlier. A second one landed behind it. A third perched on the shattered rafters above, watching. These weren't raiders. They were Dominion dreadnoughts, personal hunters for high-value targets. Human, the leader growled, its voice vibrating stone. You escaped once. Not again. Cayley's heartbeat thundered in his ears. He recognized the leader's armor, the same symbol carved into its chest plate. The one that murdered his family. Cayley stepped forward, the world narrowing around him. You. The duel begins. Before Salix could stop him, Cayley's charged. He struck the ground so hard the floor cracked. The electrified staff hummed in his grip as he vaulted upward, spinning through the air. He aimed straight for the dreadnought's throat. The warrior caught the staff with one massive clawed hand. Then crushed the shaft in half. Energy crackled and died. Jalen gasped. That weapon. Lyra whispered, Cayley's? But Cayley's didn't retreat. He took the broken halves of the staff, crossed them, and drove both ends into the warrior's visor. The dreadnought reeled backward, roaring. Cayley's landed lightly, sliding across the floor. The warrior's visor flickered. You fight with fury, it hissed. But fury without power is nothing. The other 2 dreadnoughts closed in. Cayley's clenched his fists. Power surged through him. His breathing deepened, his stance shifted. Not wild. Not desperate. Focused. Humanity isn't fury, he said softly. It's resolve. Unity ignites. Lyra leaped forward, tossing a plasma baton to Cayley's. Here. And don't break this one. Cayley's caught it midair just as the second dreadnought charged. He vaulted over the creature's shoulders, twisting midair before slamming the baton into its exposed joints. Jalen sprinted beside him with a metal debris shield, blocking a sweep aimed at Kaylee's back. I'm not letting you get sliced in half. Salix raised his arm plate, launching a shock pulse that staggered the third Dread Knight off the rafters. This is still my academy. Together, they held the line. Together, they turned the hallway into a battlefield none of them would forget. And through it all, Kaylee's moved with the controlled fury of someone who had been forged by loss and shaped by survival. The breaking point. The Dread Knight leader grabbed Kaylee's and slammed him into the ground. The concrete cracked beneath the impact. Kaylee's gasped, vision blurring. You fight like a true warrior, the creature growled. But you are still human. Still weak. Kaylee's fingers tightened around the baton. He spoke through clenched teeth. Then you've never met a human. With a final surge, Kaylee's drove the baton into the Dread Knight's throat, releasing a violent discharge of blue energy that lit the corridor like lightning. The Dread Knight fell. But the victory lasted only seconds. A deep, monstrous hum filled the air. Lyra pointed upward, eyes wide. Kaylee's, look. Through the shattered ceiling, the Karth vessel's underside split open, revealing a colossal energy core beginning to ignite. Salix whispered in horror. They're activating the Annihilator. Kaylee stood, battered, bleeding, breath shaking. Then we end this. He looked at his friends. At the source. The Karth strike vessel hovered above the shattered academy like a floating scar across the sky, its Annihilator core blazing with blinding crimson light. The air hummed with growing energy, an unnatural pressure that squeezed the lungs and rattled the bones. Lyra Vesh shielded her face from the harsh glow. It's charging faster than predicted. Commander Salix stared upward, horror etched into every line of his face. If that weapon fires, everything within 10 kilometers is gone. Jalen looked at Kaylee's, voice trembling. So what's the plan? Tell me you actually have one. Kaylee's Arcturus wiped blood from his lip, eyes steeled with a quiet fire. We take the fight to them. Lyra's breath caught. You mean board the vessel? Not just board it, Kaylee said. We destroy the core. Salix exhaled sharply. Kaylee's, that ship houses hundreds of Karth. Even an elite squad wouldn't breach it. Kaylee's turned to him. I'm not an elite squad. His gaze lifted to his friends. I'm human. And that's enough. But Lyra stepped forward, squaring herself with him. You're not doing this alone. Jalen raised a trembling fist. Yeah. Someone has to make sure you don't turn into ash because you tried something stupid. Salix nodded grimly. Cadet Solari, no, Kaylee's Arcturus. Lead the way. The ascent. The Academy's launch pad was half destroyed, but one skimmer remained intact. Its wings sparked, its thrusters sputtered, but it flew. Kaylee's took the pilot's seat. Lyra and Jalen strapped in behind him while Salix manned the side cannon. As the skimmer blasted off the ground, the Karth vessel loomed larger and larger, its hull glowing like a molten beast born of war. Jalen swallowed. This is insane. Kaylee's replied softly. War makes everyone insane. Humans just survive it better. The skimmer tore through the clouds and shot toward the vessel's lower docking bay. Turrets turned. Missiles primed. The Karth had seen them coming. Brace. Kaylee shouted. Salix fired rapid plasma bursts intercepting 3 missiles mid-air. Lyra rerouted power to the shields, sparks showering over her hands. Jalen clung to his seat. We're gonna die. Not today. Kaylee's yelled, pulling the skimmer into a dive before flipping it in a controlled spin. They slipped between 2 beams of Annihilator energy and slammed into the docking bay at full force. Metal screeched. Alarms blared. Then silence. We're in, Kaylee said through ragged breath. Barely, Jalen muttered, shaking. Inside the beast. The docking bay stank of scorched oil and reptilian musk. Red lights flashed as Karth warriors poured into the chamber. Lyra ignited her plasma blade. Jalen armed his scrap-forged shield. Salix charged his sidearm. Kaylee's tightened his broken gauntlets. This ends now. The Karth roared, the sound shaking the walls. Then the humans charged. Kaylee's hit first, leaping into the air and slamming his heel into a warrior's jaw, flipping it backward into 2 others. Lyra spun like a small hurricane, carving through armor plates with precision. Jalen blocked a cleaver twice his size, straining with everything he had. Salix fired shot after shot, covering them as they carved a path toward the central corridor. More Karth came. Stronger ones. Heavily armored ones. But the humans didn't stop. Kaylee's felt something ignite inside him. Something old, something buried, something fierce. This was the truth the galaxy never learned. When humans are cornered, they do not break. They evolve. The core chamber. At the heart of the vessel, a colossal sphere of churning crimson energy pulsed like a living heartbeat. It was suspended by graviton anchors, each humming an ominous vibration that made teeth ache. Jalen stared in awe. That thing, it's a sun trying to explode. Salix scanned it. It's unstable. If we trigger a chain reaction. Lyra finished the sentence for him. The whole ship goes down. Kaylee stepped forward. Exactly. Before anyone could argue, a deep, familiar growl filled the chamber. A giant silhouette emerged from the shadows. The Dreadnought leader. Its armor burned with fresh runes. Its eyes glowed with hatred. You, it hissed. The human who escaped HFY. Kaylee's felt the air leave his lungs. Lyra whispered, Kaylee's, your family, this is the one? He nodded. The Dreadnought raised its jagged blade. I finish what I began. Kaylee stepped forward, alone. No, he said softly. You finish nothing. The last duel. The Dreadnought charged with monstrous speed. Kaylee sprinted to meet him. Their collision thundered through the chamber. Sparks flew. Metal screamed. Kaylee's ducked under a slash, rolled, and lunged for the creature's exposed flank, but the Dreadnought caught him by the throat and lifted him off the ground. You fight with passion, it growled. But passion is weakness. Kaylee's clawed at the grip, choking, but then he remembered something. His mother's voice. His father's laugh. His sister's smile on HFY. Passion isn't weakness, he gasped. It's humanity. And with a desperate surge of strength, he jammed his broken gauntlet into the Dreadnought's armor seam. The gauntlet cracked, then detonated in a burst of white-hot energy. The Dreadnought staggered back, shrieking. Kaylee's collapsed to the floor, coughing. Lyra's cry pierced the air. Kaylee's. But he rose again, trembling yet unbroken. Humans, Kaylee's whispered, don't stay down. He leaped. The Dreadnought swung. Kaylee's dodged. And with every ounce of strength left, he drove the plasma baton straight through the Dreadnought's heart. A shockwave erupted. The creature collapsed. Kaylee stood shaking, victorious. The final choice. The core's hum intensified. Cracks of unstable energy rippled across its surface. It's going to blow. Lyra yelled. We have seconds. Jalen stumbled backward. How do we get out? Salix scanned frantically. There's an escape tube, but only one. Kaylee's turned toward the core. Then you three use it. Lyra froze. Absolutely not. You have to, Kaylee said gently. If I don't destabilize the anchors manually, this ship won't go down. And Earth stays a target. Jalen shook his head violently. Kaylee's, we aren't leaving you. Kaylee smiled, a tired, warm human smile. You already gave me something I never had before. Lyra blinked through tears. What? A reason to fight for more than survival. He placed his hand on hers. Go. Lyra sobbed as Salix and Jalen pulled her toward the escape tube. Kaylee's watched them disappear into the pod. Then he turned to the core. His voice echoed through the chamber. You claimed humanity had no fighters. Let this be your answer. He slammed his fists into the anchors. Light swallowed everything. The galaxy remembers. The escape pod crashed into the forest far from the blast zone. A blinding light rose behind them as the Karth vessel erupted into a star-like fireball. Lyra screamed Kaylee's name until her voice broke. Jalen collapsed to his knees. Salix bowed his head. Sensors across the quadrant detected the explosion. And for the first time in history, the galaxy learned fear of humanity. Heroes spoke of 3 cadets who survived. Whispers spoke of 1 human who didn't. And legends spoke of something else. A lone figure walking from the fire. A silhouette against the ashes. Eyes glowing with the light of a burning star. But that was another story.